Welcome, everybody. I've got Cole here from Pirate Pete's CCG, which is a brand new dead CCG as well as Star Wars Unlimited site on the internet. And we've been friends for a while. And I was kind of like, "You're doing this thing, man. You're taking the plunge and arguably doing what most people dream about doing, which is opening up a store that sells their favorite stuff." I have to admit, there's been times when I'm walking home from work. I'm like, I wish I owned a CCG store. So you and I thought we would just chat here a little bit about the store, what you're selling, how'd you get into this stuff, how it is to operate it, why the games you chose, and kind of wherever the conversation takes us. But welcome, man. How you doing?
Good. Thank you for having me. I've watched your videos for a long time, so it's nice to join you.
I am happy to see that your background is not just overflowing with boxes of cards, right? There's not just those white 5,000 count boxes stacked. So that's a good start.
Well, what's kind of funny is I have taken over a bedroom at my mother's house
Okay.
where there are just boxes and boxes of commons and uncommons that I'm storing over there. So I'm taking over. I took over the office from my wife, and so I'm taking over people's space.
Yeah, I know that feeling well. I had that happen. We had a baby, and then I lost some territory, right? So I'm fighting with the baby right now for my card stuff. But so Pirate Pete CCG is the store. Your name is Cole. Where'd you come up with Pirate Pete?
Yes.
What? I see you got the branded hat. That's cool. I don't have any branded merchandise.
So Pirate Pete came from the town that I grew up in, Shawnee. There was a pizza place that my dad loved, and he could not for the life of him remember the name. And so he just always called it Pirate Pete's. I don't know. Let's go to Pirate Pete's. Everybody knew what he was talking about, but wasn't even close to the name. So that just always stuck with me, and I started I started Pirate Pete company about 10 years ago. I was getting into real estate, and so I have, and that's where, so I created it as Pirate Pete for real estate, and I have now exited the real estate space, and
Now
so
you're
that's
in the online card selling space. So
yes.
let's talk a little bit like how'd you get back into this stuff? So I think Star Wars CCG, Lord of the Rings CCG, we've talked about some of the stuff, Star Wars Limited. How did you get back into this space? Have you kind of been a long time collector? Or like, what was the entry point, or like I guess the drug? what how did you get the nostalgia bug again?
Um, I have just always kind of looked at Facebook Marketplace for just stuff, out shopping with a wife, and she's looking at something, and I find a chair, and and I just happened to see about a little over a year ago, I happened to see somebody post on a garage sale page that they posted a video, and they were flipping through a bunch of binders of Star Wars CCG, and they were Star Trek, and we were out shopping, and I told her, "Hey, when we go home, I have a stop I wanna make." And she didn't know what we were doing, but she actually applauded me at how patient I was with her on waiting for her to finish shopping. But we got to the garage sale, and it was the last day, and they had marked everything off like 75% off, and
Nice.
it was a huge collection of Star Wars and Star Trek CCG, almost complete set. It was Star Wars CCG. It was complete sets of everything up to about Coruscant. Coruscant and Theed was about half, and the Star Trek stuff, it stopped at Holodeck Adventures, or did not have Holodeck Adventures, but it was a complete set of that stuff. So, and
That's a
I
hell of
was
a
like,
find still find.
yeah, yeah. And so I paid, like $200 for all of it, and that, and I had not seen those cards in 15 years or more since I saw that garage sale post. I had not been collecting. Um, and so I sat on the floor in the office sorting through cards for days, and just my wife, every time she would tell me, like, you have a smile on your face I haven't seen in a long time. So um, I knew it was something that kind of came back, and I didn't realize at that point, the pandemic was kind of winding down, and I didn't realize that Star Wars CCG and all the CCGs had kind of come back the way they had. Um,
So, do you think now, 1 year later, as you've occupied an extra room with commons and uncommons, that your wife would go back in time and just like stop that moment from happening? She'd like, it's like, we don't have time to go there anymore. It's just like knowing what I know now, the amount of mail.
so no, surprisingly no, because she has been very very good about this whole project, everything about it. But no, she sees how much fun I'm having with it, and she's a she loves doing puzzles, so we'll sit down and watch a TV show, and she'll help me sort cards, and she loves it just as much as I do. She knows nothing about them, but she has fun too. So
I love to hear that. So you kind of got back into collecting, playing a little bit, but why the decision to open up a store? And I'm going to screen share here just so folks can see what your store looks like. And I think there might be a promo code or something as well that we might share at the end here. And there's a link to the store in the video description here for folks that are interested to kind of see. So this is where Dead CCGs come to live.
yes.
So I'd love to talk about the selection of games here and the choices, because it's sort of an interesting set of choices. But why the initial decision to kind of open up a store? Also, I love this starting image. Two of my favorite cards just staring at me,
Yes.
right?
Yes. So I was buying on eBay, and I have experience of having a company that is not my full-time job. It was just stuff uh, with the real estate stuff that I did. I did some flipping, but I also did rentals, and so it wasn't. It was more kind of. It wasn't something that took a lot of my time, and so I had some experience, and I knew I could. I did not have a tax certificate, but I knew I could get one, and you can file that with eBay, and then you don't have to pay taxes on anything. And as much stuff as I was buying for just collecting, it that 10% really adds up. Um, so I started off with that. I went ahead and just got a tax certificate, and I was selling. So I was buying collections, and then um, collections come with stuff that you're not interested in, or you have too much of. So
Arguably 95% of it, right?
yes, yes. So then I had started selling that stuff on eBay, and anybody that sold on eBay knows that eBay I think it's like 13.5% for off of the shipping plus the tax, and it gets closer to 18% of what they take. So um, I I talked to my wife, and I just she said go for it, and so I decided to create my own website, and start trying to do it on my own. I still need to rework my eBay store, and I'll still try to do eBay. I think that's important so people know you're out there. But yeah,
So I gotta ask, where did you get this image of Boba Fett playing cards? Because this is a great image. Like I was clicking around your website, like it's well done as far as the design and use of art here. So is this AI?
yeah, it is. So that's what some of the website I was building my or yeah the I guess the
I love this
people
kid.
I was using to build my website. They hadn't an option for AI. I understand that it is kind of frowned upon. That's what I used. I
Yeah, and I think I don't know. It's interesting that it's integrated into like the package when you're building a website now. I mean, this is
yeah
I think that this usage is fine, and if you want to change it going forward, but this is just a cool image of Gandalf playing cards, drinking a beer.
yeah
So
yeah um, yeah. So um, the cards, the games that I'm selling, that one looks a little funky, but it's it's still Yoda. I think it's neat. I think Yoda and Darth Maul would play cards together.
It's like they have funny standee. Like, what are the standing things here? Maybe
Yeah, I don't
I'm really
know.
sure.
Um, so Star Wars CCG was always my passion. So I turned 40 last year. I was born in '83. Um, so I was 12 when Premiere came out. Um, the the group I played with, it was mainly Magic, and I loved Magic. I played Magic a lot, but I Star Wars CCG was always my passion. There just weren't people to play when I was, when I was younger, and it had kind of already started falling off by the time, um, I was getting able to be able to drive, so I could drive to go play, and so Magic kind of took over for me. But I mean, I can just remember sitting up and reading the, I don't have one, reading the lore from the cards. Just, like just the lore, just everything about it. And I remember learning so much about Star Wars. I read all the books, and so the Star Wars CCG cards are just awesome. They are just awesome. And so I want to collect and sell those. And then the Young Jedi I never played. I have a 7-year-old son. Well, he's turning 7 tomorrow.
Happy
So
early birthday.
yeah. So Young Jedi appeals to me, and I had just collected a bunch of those from Star Wars CCG collections that had them, and then kind of the same thing with Jedi Knight. I have a lot of Jedi Knights, and I kind of like, it has the 3D. I think they call it stereoscopic or something, where um, you can like you put the two cards together and it makes a 3D image or something.
Hmm.
Um, And so the Jedi Knight stuff, that I'm kind of interested in learning how to play that. I know it
Yeah,
has
it's
really,
just it's fascinating. I think that there's like so many elements of it that like they tried to master the collectability aspects and they just kind of fell a little flat. Like
yeah,
first day printing gold, silver, and now I
yeah,
think collectability has been like hacked through magic stuff, like
yeah,
borderless surge foil, regular foil, serialized. It's the latest iteration of this. But I think there's a lot of experimentation happening in the late 90s, early 2000s of like how to get people interested in collecting because collectors, much like an iceberg, you have 10% of the people are playing the game, another 90% are just collecting it and putting it in binders and thinking it's interesting. And I think sometimes they feel like a little bit of hatred from the rest of the community
yeah,
as they charge the prices of singles sometimes.
yeah. And then Dune, I just happened to come across a couple of big collections. I've read the books, watched the movies, the new ones, and then I'm trying to remember what the spinoff show on HBO was. Not the movie. Anyways, um, the I saw these cards and they are just awesome. Like they're just really neat cards. I still have no idea how to play, but they're just really neat cards.
So
Um,
this is what I just love your actual passion. Like obviously you're selling a store, you're a merchant. There's a margin there. But the actual love of these games and products, like, that's just something that I share. Like I have people over to my house, and they look at my wall of binders and they're like, "What's that?" And I was like, "You guys wouldn't understand. You're my friends, my dear friends. You want to go into why I have decided to collect this stuff and why I find collecting to be kind of meditative and almost
yeah,
therapeutic in a way to sort out a collection, to put things in a way that the display appeals to me. I find that to be immensely relaxing and something after like a long day where I'm just like, oh, I'm just going to sort my cards out a little bit, move some stuff around. And you wouldn't have told me 5 years ago that that's something that I'd find relaxing, right?
yeah.
So, um,
So one of the things that I think is really neat for me as an adult, now we have jobs, we have money, so we can buy things. But like Dune, I think it came out in 90, I don't know, 95, 96, maybe through 97. Back then I had no idea that game existed. I'm not
hmm.
really sure I had read the Dune books by then. I just didn't know that stuff existed. And so, because I grew up in a town with about 27,000, 30,000 people. I had to drive to Oklahoma City to go to Game HQ, which was the big, the big daddy in the area, to really play anything or to even see any other games other than Magic and maybe Star Wars, very minimally. So just all of these games that came out that I have never, on the Facebook group, the Dead CCG Facebook group, I just see all these like Netrunner. I have a few of those cards. I don't have a lot, but it's just really neat. Like as an adult, getting to discover these games that were out back then. Some were very loved, and some weren't. But for especially if it coincides with an IP that you really enjoy, like I really enjoy Dune, which kind of brings me to my next one, which is Eve CCG.
No idea what that is.
Probably a lot of people don't. So Eve is from the game. So I guess, and I didn't even know that there was a CCG for it. There's an MMORPG called Eve Online. It was created out of Iceland. Iceland. A company from, I think it was CCP was the name. I can't remember anymore. Anyways, it's a really fun MMO. It's about space. You control a spaceship, and it is one of the. It was one of the MMOs that you would see in the news every once in a while, where you'd see in the news, like national news, where 4,500 people came to a fight in one space area, and they had destroyed $327,000 worth of kind of in-game money worth of ships that were destroyed. And so it was a very fun game. Can be very high stakes because you destroy somebody's ship, and it has a in-game money value, which has kind of a monetary value, and it's just it is for a very special person. Game was fun, but it is kind of a hardcore MMO. But I played that game for a couple of years, and so when I discovered there was a CCG game, I could not believe it, and so I was super excited to find.
So I see you don't have any of this up there yet. So I think the website, you launched this, a couple weeks ago, so you're still adding more product. And so Eve is not up there yet for folks that are interested.
Correct. Yes. And that's where I've been struggling with a little bit on the actual design and trying to get it. When I actually used a company called Wix, where you can go in there and it's just kind of like, drag and paste your UI to make stuff. And I've been running into some roadblocks on ideas that I had that just they don't have functions for it yet. So, I would love to be able to put a little banner on there that says coming soon, and I don't have that yet. So, but yes, so I just launched it a couple of weeks ago. I've talked to you about this, but I have a baby that will be due in about 4 weeks. And so
congratulations.
Thank you. It has been an extraordinary amount of work getting product and getting it labeled, pictures and everything. It's a lot of work. And so I've been just slowly trying to add as I can. And I had been putting off launching the website. I think I had talked to people and told them at some point, it'll be the first of July or 1st of June, and it just kept getting pushed back and pushed back because to me, it's not done, it's not complete, and I like perfection, so I hate launching something that still has some work to be done, but with the baby on the way, I just need to get it launched, and then I will add stuff. And if people join the email list, when I get stuff added, I will email people out that something's been added, and usually probably have a promo code or something for a discount on it.
Yeah, speaking of which, is there sort of a promo code that you can share with people that made it 20 minutes into this video?
um, yeah, you can just it'll just be Pirate Pete.
Cool. So for folks that have made it this far in, check out the store and use the promo code Pirate Pete to get a little discount there.
Or they can, or maybe you can put it in the description and they can just get 3 minutes in.
Yeah, we'll also add it to the video description here. I think we have a couple more games here. So Lord of the Rings TCG, I mean, I think there's sort of this flavor of Decipher games. Actually, one thing I'm surprised it's not on here is Star Trek, right? Because it sounds like that was one of the original things you picked up, but you didn't decide to do Star Trek. You decided to do the Lord of the Rings TCG, which I actually think is about to have a lot more attention on it as the next season of Rings of Power. Whether you love it or hate it, it just gets people about Lord of the Rings on sort of like a macro level. Whereas those movies have been dormant for 20 years otherwise.
Yes. Again, Lord of the Rings is just something I was interested in. I never got to play the game. I did not know it existed. Kind of when I stopped playing CCGs, I kind of got into online games, and so I wasn't doing card stuff very much. But yeah, Lord of the Rings, and then Star Trek will be coming also. I just haven't added it to the banner. One of the decisions I made is how many singles I have to be able to put up, and I don't have a ton of good Star Trek singles.
So wrapping up here with a couple more things you got here. So you have Star Wars Unlimited, which makes sense to have one kind of contemporary game. You made a decision not to have Lorcana or Magic, at least at this time. I mean, you can only have so many binders full of stuff, I guess. But both of those games kind of feel like strange markets right now. Like Lorcana, I think, is in an interesting place where there's not really people playing it in mass, but there's a lot of people collecting it. And Magic is Magic, and there's just so many people that sell Magic that it feels like a crowded space.
Well, and I kind of wanted to keep this a dead CCG thing. I enjoy the new stuff. I don't play any of the new stuff, but I mean, I know about it. I know a lot of people that play it. I wanted to keep it kind of some of the old stuff, but also it is difficult to be able to get signed on to be able to buy some of that stuff from wholesalers. So I may at one point if it just comes easily, but that's not on my radar right now.
And then finally, I think one of the interesting thing here, you also sell accessories. As anyone who's been in gaming long enough knows that you can never have enough accessories. So you have some sleeves, this sort of stuff. So looks like some good prices on sleeves. So I think this is a really interesting store. I might be perusing myself to make a few purchases here or pick up some accessories. But any kind of final thoughts as we wrap up here and the experience of opening up a store? You're 1 week in, 2 weeks in here. How does it feel?
It feels good. It feels stressful also. I launched it. I have posted on some of the Facebook groups, and I have gotten some sales, but it never comes as quickly as you want. I just know it's going to take time getting in, and I want to build relationships in the community. I want to, this, not just the cards, but I've really enjoyed kind of being part of a community again, I guess. I used to play a lot of online games, and there's a big community in those, and I just don't play games anymore. I don't have time. And so just being able to kind of be in the community, the Star Wars CCG community and some of these other communities, it's really nice. And I've met a lot of really awesome people doing it.
I can tell you the same thing as someone who's been doing these videos on dead CCGs for almost 3 years now. Time flies. I have met some of the most fascinating people and just had a really fun time diving into these markets and these cards and these collectibles. So I feel you there. And I think that ultimately building that community is something that is really hard to do. Despite all these resources, Discord, Reddit, it's still really easy to just kind of feel like you're doing this in a solitary sense, right? That you're just out here putting cards in a binder. You're not part of something bigger. And I think that's really important to be doing with all gaming and collecting and just hobbies in general, is to get out of your own head. Like, hey, other people do this stuff.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
uh, well, it's been a blast chatting with you. Link to the store is in the video description here. I like, subscribe, check out his channel as well. We do some unboxing. I'll leave a link for that as well in the video description. But that's all the time we have today. Any kind of final thoughts here?
Oh, no, not really.
Nothing like quippy to close it out.
Yeah.
Well, this has been fun, and we'll catch everybody next time.